They tell you Kundalini awakening is a divine experience, a gateway to enlightenment, bliss, and untapped power. But what they don't tell you is that once this energy is unleashed, it doesn't care about your comfort, your sanity, or whether you're ready. It will burn through every illusion you've ever had about yourself, about reality, and about everything you thought was safe. Some call it spiritual liberation. Others call it the worst thing that ever happened to them. Welcome to Kundalini Awakens, where we uncover the truths of Kundalini and more. Kundalini is often described as a serpent coiled at the base of your spine, waiting to rise. Mystics, yogis, and spiritual seekers have spent lifetimes trying to awaken it. But what happens when it wakes up before you're ready? Imagine your mind slipping between dimensions, your body convulsing in pain, your emotions swinging wildly between euphoria and despair. You start hearing whispers in the silence, seeing things that shouldn't be there. Your sense of self dissolving. Your understanding of the world shattered. This is not just energy. This is fire. And once it ignites, there is no turning back. And the worst part, no one tells you what to do when it all goes wrong. By the time we reach the end of this, you will understand why so many who've gone through this awakening say they wish they had never started. And if you're already on this path, you'll know exactly what to watch out for before it's too late. Kundalini. The name itself carries a weight, a mystery wrapped in the ancient traditions of yoga and mysticism. It's spoken of with reverence, with awe, this dormant energy that, when awakened, unlocks boundless potential. But here's what most won't tell you. Kundalini is not a gentle process. It is not a peaceful meditation retreat. It is a force of nature, an untamed wildfire that consumes everything in its path. The ancient texts describe it as a serpent, coiled tightly at the base of your spine, waiting to strike. And when it does, it doesn't just rise gracefully, it erupts. It coils through your body, surging through your nervous system, hijacking your mind. It is raw, primal, and completely indifferent to your suffering. Science tries to explain it through neurobiology, calling it an overstimulation of the autonomic nervous system, a flood of energy overwhelming the brain and body. But no textbook can prepare you for the reality of it. It starts subtly. A strange heat in the spine, uncontrollable twitching, an electric sensation crawling through your nerves. Then come the visions, fractals, faces, memories that don't belong to you. Sleep becomes impossible. Your body spasms as if possessed. Your mind fractures, slipping between bliss and madness. For some, it brings enlightenment. For others, psychosis. And the terrifying truth, you don't get to choose. The moment Kundalini awakens, your life is no longer your own. You are being rewritten, cell by cell, thought by thought. And no one, not the gurus, not the self-help books, not the so-called spiritual teachers, can stop it once it begins. But what happens when it goes too far? When the body, the mind, and the soul can't keep up with the force that's tearing through them? That's when the real nightmare begins. The dark side of Kundalini awakening is rarely spoken about, buried beneath flowery descriptions of cosmic bliss and enlightenment. But those who have experienced its raw, unfiltered power know the truth. This is not just a spiritual upgrade. This is a complete dismantling of everything you are. And the first thing it attacks, your body. It starts as heat. Not warmth, heat. A furnace ignites in your spine, spreading like wildfire. Then come the spasms. Sudden, involuntary jerks, as if something inside you is trying to break free. Your body twists into unfamiliar postures, movements happening without your control, like a puppet on invisible strings. This isn't yoga. This isn't meditation. This is possession. And the pain. God, the pain. Bones feel like they're cracking, nerves like they're short-circuiting. Some describe it as being electrocuted from the inside out, others as an unbearable pressure inside the skull, as if their brain is being rewired against its will. Doctors will tell you it's a neurological disorder. They'll call it seizures, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. But deep down, you know better. Because this isn't just physical. It's something else. Something deeper. And just when you think you can handle the physical torment, it gets worse. Because now, it's coming for your mind. Your mind is no longer your own. At first, it's subtle. A strange sense of detachment, like you're watching yourself from the outside. Thoughts that don't feel like yours. Sudden waves of euphoria that vanish into crushing despair within seconds. You try to convince yourself it's all in your head, until the voices start. Some whisper. Others scream. Some feel like ancient wisdom guiding you, while others feel like something else entirely. Something foreign. Something wrong. And then come the visions. Shapes shifting in the darkness, patterns forming behind your closed eyelids, faces appearing where they shouldn't. You see the world differently, as if a filter has been removed. Colors seem too bright, too saturated. Time feels distorted. Minutes stretch into hours, days blur into nothing. You begin to question reality itself. Shadows seem to move at the edge of your vision. Is it just your brain misfiring? Or has Kundalini unlocked something you were never meant to see? Sleep becomes impossible. Not just because of the energy coursing through your body, but because of what waits for you in the dark. Psychologists will call it psychosis. New Age gurus will tell you it's just the ego dissolving. But none of them can explain why so many people who go through this never fully come back. You wanted enlightenment. Instead, you're losing yourself. And the worst part, this is only the beginning. Because the next thing Kundalini takes from you is your identity. Who are you? You thought you knew. A name. A personality. A collection of memories and beliefs that made up you. But Kundalini doesn't care about your identity. In fact, it's here to erase it. It starts with a feeling, like your thoughts aren't your own anymore. You try to hold on to them, but they slip away, replaced by an unsettling emptiness. The things you used to love, they don't feel the same. The people you cared about, distant, foreign, like you're watching a movie of someone else's life. Then, the boundaries between you and everything else begin to dissolve. At first, it feels transcendent. You think you're experiencing oneness. You think you're merging with the universe. But then the fear creeps in. Because if you're not you anymore, then who are you? You look in the mirror, and for the first time, you don't recognize the reflection staring back. Your face looks the same, but something is missing. The spark. The familiarity. It's like someone, or something, is looking back through your eyes. And then comes the dark night of the soul. A spiritual death. A complete annihilation of the self. Every belief you had, every identity you clung to, ripped away like dead skin. It's not peaceful. It's not graceful. It feels like dying, because in a way, you are. Some people don't make it through. They spiral into madness, unable to find their way back. Others become lost, wandering through life like ghosts, disconnected from everything, from everyone. The ones who do survive, they aren't the same. Something in them is different. The old version of them is gone, burned away by the fire of Kundalini. And the real nightmare, once you lose yourself, something else can take your place. The moment Kundalini strips you of your identity, you become vulnerable, open, exposed. And in that void, something else can step in. You see, Kundalini doesn't just awaken your inner self. It rips open doors. Doors you never knew existed. Doors that maybe were never meant to be opened. At first, it's just a presence, a feeling. Like something is standing behind you when no one is there. A flicker in your peripheral vision. A shadow in the corner of your room that seems to breathe when you're not looking. Then, the encounters start. Objects move. Lights flicker. Whispers slither through the silence. You tell yourself it's your imagination, that your mind is playing tricks on you. But deep down, something is watching. Kundalini heightens perception, unlocking abilities most people never tap into. You become sensitive to energies, to unseen forces. Some call it the veil thinning, the space between worlds growing weaker. But here's the terrifying part. You don't get to choose what comes through. For every moment of bliss, there's an equally dark force waiting to feed off of you. Paranormal activity, poltergeist, like disturbances, sudden and unexplained attachments. You might start hearing voices that aren't just inside your head anymore. Some may guide you. Others will manipulate. Some will simply torment. And the sleep paralysis, it becomes more than just a medical phenomenon. You wake up frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe, while something looms over you, pressing against your chest, whispering in a language you don't understand. This isn't enlightenment. This isn't some ascended state of being. This is a battleground. Not all beings are benevolent. Not all energies come in peace. And once you've stepped into this world, there is no stepping back. Which is why so many who undergo a Kundalini awakening withdraw from society, disappear into isolation. Not just because they want to, but because they have to. You start to notice it. The distance. The way people look at you differently, like they can sense something's off. At first, you try to explain. You tell them you're going through a spiritual awakening, that you're experiencing something profound. But the moment you mention energy surges, visions, or hearing things no one else can hear, their faces change. Their smiles tighten. Their eyes narrow with concern, or worse, with fear. And then they pull away. Friends stop calling. Family members whisper behind your back. Some tell you to get help, while others just vanish. It's not their fault. They don't understand. How could they? Because the truth is, you're not the same person anymore. You don't laugh at the same jokes. You don't care about small talk or mindless distractions. The things that used to excite you now feel empty, meaningless. And relationships, they become a battlefield. If your partner hasn't experienced Kundalini, they won't recognize you. They'll say you're distant, unstable, detached. They'll think you're going crazy. And maybe you are. Or maybe you're just seeing things they never will. Intimacy becomes complicated. Your energy fluctuates so wildly that your body feels foreign even to you. Moments of overwhelming love and connection are suddenly ripped away by unbearable sensitivity, making physical touch feel like static electricity against raw nerves. You love them, but they don't feel real anymore. You don't feel real anymore. And then, the real test, functioning in society. You try to go to work, but the fluorescent lights hum too loud. The conversations around you feel artificial, robotic. The entire world seems like a stage play, and you can't unsee it. You sit at your desk, staring at a screen, pretending to care about deadlines and emails while the energy inside you surges like a caged storm. You are not built for this world anymore. Some people quit their jobs, unable to function in the mundane. Others isolate completely, retreating into forests, mountains, anywhere that feels remotely natural. And then there are those who stay, who force themselves to play the game, to act normal. But it's exhausting, draining. Because once you've seen the truth, it's impossible to unsee it. So the question becomes, can you survive this awakening? Or will it take everything from you before you even learn how to control it? If you make it this far, you're already in the fight of your life. You've lost your sense of self. Your body isn't your own. Your mind is slipping between realities. And the world you once knew, it doesn't fit anymore. Nothing does. But here's what no one tells you. This isn't where it ends. This is just the beginning. Because now, you have two choices. Learn to control this energy, or let it consume you. And most people, they don't make it out whole. The first thing you need to understand is that Kundalini doesn't care about your schedule. It won't wait for you to be ready. It won't slow down because you have work in the morning or bills to pay. It will tear through you at its own pace, and if you don't learn how to stabilize it, it will take you with it. So how do you survive this? First, grounding. And no, not just walking barefoot in the grass and hoping for the best. This is war. You need to anchor yourself in reality. Heavy foods, physical exercise, anything that keeps you here. Because if you don't, you might drift too far and never fully return. Second, control your breathing. If your breath is erratic, your energy will be too. Long, slow exhales. Deep, intentional inhales. If you let Kundalini take over your breath, it will hijack your nervous system. And once that happens, panic sets in. Third, stop seeking more. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they need to push the process forward, to force Kundalini higher. More yoga, more meditation, more activation techniques. But this energy is already moving at full speed, and if you force it beyond your body's capacity, you could fry your system completely. The nervous breakdowns, the psychosis, the catatonic states, that's what happens when you try to control something that was never meant to be controlled. And most importantly, you need the right guidance. Not a fake guru, not an Instagram influencer who preaches love and light, but someone who knows the darkness. Someone who has walked through it and survived. Because most teachers won't help you. They either don't know the dangers, or worse, they do, and they won't tell you. Because here's the secret. The ones who come out of this on the other side, they are never the same. And some don't come back at all. You wanted enlightenment. But are you willing to pay the price? Was it worth it? That's the question every person who has gone through a Kundalini awakening eventually asks themselves. Because by the time you reach the other side, if you even do, you are not the same person who started this journey. You asked for enlightenment, but you were never told the cost. You thought it would be bliss, a shortcut to higher consciousness. Instead, it shattered you, tore you apart piece by piece until there was nothing left of the person you used to be. The truth is, Kundalini is not good or evil. It doesn't care about your expectations. It is power, raw, untamed, merciless. It can burn you to ash, or it can forge you into something new. But the terrifying reality, once Kundalini awakens, there is no going back. This journey doesn't end. It only transforms. Some integrate, some disappear, and some never stop falling. You wanted the truth, and now you have it. The only question left is, would you still choose to awaken? But maybe it was never your choice. Kundalini doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for an invitation. Some seek it out, yes, chasing enlightenment, craving power, believing they're ready. But for others, it just happens. A trauma, a near-death experience, A sudden shift in consciousness that rips open the floodgates before you even know what's happening. One day, you're normal. The next, reality fractures, and you're thrown into an abyss you never asked for. And here's the part no one wants to admit. Once you're in, you don't control the pace. Kundalini decides. So, if you're already on this path, if the energy is already moving, then you need to understand something crucial. The only way out is through. This isn't a phase. It won't just go away. You can try to numb it, suppress it, pretend it isn't happening. But sooner or later, it will rise again. Stronger. More intense. Until you have no choice but to face it. And that's where most people break. Because once you let go of the idea that you are in control, once you surrender to the current instead of fighting against it, that's when the real transformation begins. But transformation is messy. It is violent. It is destructive. It will rip apart everything that isn't true. Every lie you've told yourself. Every mask you've worn. Every illusion you've mistaken for reality. And when it's done, when there's nothing left but the raw, unfiltered truth of who you really are, that's when you'll know. Was it worth it? Only you can answer that. But know this, if you've made it this far, if you're still here, still listening, still searching for answers, then the awakening has already begun. And there is no turning back.